The morning mist still hung over the sleepy village of Maple Hollow, where the air smelled faintly of pine and river water. The sun was slow to rise, brushing soft gold over the wooden fences and fields of wildflowers that stretched beyond the hills. The only sound was the gentle creak of an old windmill turning near the lake. At the edge of this calm little world lived Eli Turner, a young craftsman who made wooden furniture in his father's old barn. His hands were skilled, but his heart was heavy. Every day Eli woke before dawn, his mind already full, thoughts of deadlines, expectations, and a quiet fear that he wasn't good enough. He had dreams once of creating art that spoke to people's hearts, but lately all he could hear was the noise in his head. "You're behind again, Eli. Your work isn't perfect. You'll never be like your father." The thoughts came like a storm every morning, leaving him restless before the day even began. One afternoon, as he struggled to carve a rocking chair, his chisel slipped. The cut wasn't deep, but the frustration was. He tossed the wood aside and stepped outside to breathe. Across the dusty lane he saw old Martha, the village potter, sitting on her porch surrounded by clay pots that glowed warm in the sunlight. "Trouble again, Eli?" she asked, smiling softly as he approached. "I can't focus," he said. "My hands work, but my mind, it won't stop spinning. Every time I start, I think about what could go wrong." Martha nodded as if she'd been waiting to hear those words. "Come tomorrow," she said, "before sunrise. I'll show you something." The next morning, the village was still sleeping when Eli arrived at Martha's home. The air was cool, the grass damp with dew. Martha handed him an old clay jar filled to the brim with water. "Walk with me," she said. They began down the winding dirt path toward the meadow. Birds were just beginning to stir, their songs thin and curious. Martha walked slowly, her steps steady, while Eli struggled to keep the jar from spilling. "Keep your eyes on the jar. Don't lose a drop." The path grew uneven, roots crossing like veins beneath the earth. Eli's arms ached as he tried to keep the jar balanced. His mind was loud again. "Don't spill, don't stumble, don't mess this up." By the time they reached the meadow, his breath was heavy. "I didn't spill much," he said proudly, showing her the jar. Martha smiled. "And what did you notice on the way here?" Eli blinked. "What do you mean?" "The sunrise, the deer by the fence, the morning breeze through the pines. Did you see any of that?" Eli paused, realizing he hadn't. He had been so focused on keeping the jar steady that he'd missed everything around him. Martha took the jar gently and poured the water into the grass. "Your mind is just like this jar, too full, and you see nothing beyond it. Empty it, and the world begins to appear." From that day on, Eli visited Martha every morning. She didn't teach him through words, but through small, quiet tasks. One morning, she asked him to shape clay with her, not for work, not for perfection, just for the rhythm of it. Another day, she asked him to sit by the river and count how many times he could hear the wind before a thought appeared. Days turned into weeks. The noise in Eli's head began to soften. He still had thoughts, of course, but they passed like clouds, noticed, then gone. He learned to carve without expectation, to work without rushing, to breathe without searching for something to fix. Sometimes he would simply stand outside his workshop and watch the sunlight dance on the wood shavings. For the first time, he began to feel the quiet beauty in simple things, the scent of cedar, the hum of insects, the way dust floated like gold in the morning light. One evening, the village held its summer fair. Eli displayed his new collection of handmade furniture, not grand pieces, but humble and full of warmth. Each chair, each table seemed alive, touched by something unseen yet deeply felt. People stopped, admired, and smiled. A woman told him, "There's peace in your work. It feels calm." He didn't know how to respond, so he simply smiled. That night, as the fair light shimmered on the river, Martha stood beside him. "You see, Eli," she said softly, "you found your art again, not by adding more to your mind, but by letting go." He looked at his hands, the same ones that once trembled with doubt, now steady and still. "I think I finally understand," he whispered. Months later, as autumn rolled in and the fields turned golden, Eli often walked alone by the lake. He no longer worried about success or failure. He had learned that the world outside was only as clear as the space within. He sat by the water one evening, watching the sunset melt into soft pinks and oranges. The lake reflected it all perfectly, still, calm, and full of quiet meaning. And in that moment, Eli realized success wasn't about doing more. It was about being present enough to do what matters. When he closed his eyes, his mind was no longer crowded with noise. It was clear, open, and peaceful, like the lake. A mind too full cannot see clearly. Empty your thoughts, and success will flow in like sunlight through an open window.